Right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to people, participants based on where they're located. We're here to discuss about various standards that can help us in implementing ITDR. So the topic of today's webinar is standards that can help in ITDR. Before we actually go into that, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Zubair. I am currently a senior consultant at Continuity and Resilience. We like to call ourselves as CORE. Before I joined CORE, I was with FirstSource, and I was managing business continuity for FirstSource globally, including ITSM and IT continuity. I am certified business continuity specialist. I am 22301 and 27001 lead auditor, and I have also completed my I'm an MBCI as well. Introducing CORE. Like I said, we are Continuity and Resilience, and we like to call ourselves as CORE. We are ourselves certified in ISO 22301, and we are a certified management consulting firm. We deal with domains such as business continuity management, crisis management, IT disaster recovery, that's ITDR, green IT and sustainability, and information security. And we consult, train, assess, and certify in the above mentioned domains. All right, so I think let's now get into the ITDR part. Before I started the actual discussion, I want to ask you one thing. Are there any ISO certifiable standards on ITDR? Currently, there are no polls enabled in the webinar, so let me give you the answer. I'm sure everybody will understand or knows that there are no ISO certifiable standards on ITDR. As of now, we do not have any standards which are certifiable standards, which are ISO standards for specifically ITDR. So what is that we can look at? What are the other standards we can actually look at if there are no certifiable standards? So the standards or guidelines that can help us are ISO 24762, which was released in 2009, which is currently withdrawn. And ISO withdrew that and released another standard, which is 27031 in 2011. And there's business continuity standard 22301, which was released in 2012. There's 20000, which is ITSM, that's ITIL related, Information Technology Management, which was released in 2011. And there is another ISO standard, which is 27001, which was released in 2013. This is the Information Security Standard. And there is, other than ISO, there is another publication, NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology. They have come out with a special publication, which is 834, that talks about ITDR as well. So let's look at these standards slightly in brief. I will probably be talking about these standards in brief and have enough time for question and answer session. So if we have any clarification, we can clarify that rather than going detail as far as the standard itself is concerned. So let's start with ISO 24762, which was released in 2008. What is it about? This is Information Technology Security Technique Guidelines for Information and Communication Technology Disaster Recovery Services. So this is basically for ICT-DR. This includes guidelines on implementation, testing, and execution aspects of disaster recovery only, and can be applicable to both in-house and outsourced ICT-DR service providers of physical facility and services. So the keyword here, the key concept here you need to notice is these guidelines or standards were applicable to both the client, as in-house, for any organization. And if that organization if any organization want to outsource its ICT, then even those service providers could use these guidelines to show that they are compliant. So it was applicable for both in-house and outsourced ICT-DR service providers. In-house as well as the outsourced service providers. Let's see what else it has. It talks about implementing, operating, monitoring, and maintaining the necessary facilities and services necessary for disaster recovery, such as implementation of public announcement system, alert personnel to alert personnel to leave building, or requirement that our electronic doors can be opened manually from inside, etc., etc. So it basically talks about how you need to implement ITDR, how you need to operate, how you need to monitor, and how you need to maintain the facility and services which are required specifically for a disaster recovery situation. It also talks about fallback and recovery support for organizations' ICT systems. So this would be the crux, the meat, the center of the ITDR piece. This is where it said that what should be the fallback and recovery procedures for an organization's ICT system. And then the section of recovery side example, considering factors such as environmental stability, good infrastructure, etc. So it does not, if you look at these 3 points, the first point is about the facility, how you implement, operate, monitor, and maintain the necessary facility. The second one is, if the facility is not available, then what is the fallback? So that's your DR piece. And then, how do you select a recovery site? It also talks about, goes to in detail in terms of how should you select a recovery site? What are the factors you need to consider? What are the environmental stability? What about good infrastructure, etc.? So it talks about how you are going to select a DR site as well. Well, moving on, what else does it talk about? The capabilities which outsourced ICT-DR service providers should possess, and the practices they should follow, so as to provide basic secure operating environment and facilitate the organization's recovery efforts. So it also used to give some guidelines in terms of, if you are outsourcing the ICT, the service providers, what is their DR? What exactly do you need to look at as far as the service, the DR of the service provider? It used to mandate that even the service provider should possess and practice and follow the ITDR piece, the basic secure. How to secure your operating environment and facilitate the organization's recovery efforts. So can you make out? It also is talking about in-house, the organization, and it's also talking about your service providers. And it also gives requirements for ICT-DR service providers to continuously improve their ICT-DR services. So it is not only mandating, putting onus on the in-house of the organization, it is also putting onus on the service providers to ensure that they not only implement it, maintain it, but also improve the ICTDR. That's your ITDR basically. ICT stands for Information Communication and Technology DR. Yeah. So this is something which we have taken from ISO. Just in brief, in terms of what is 24762, we're now going to move probably to ISO 2731, which was released in 2011. So ISO has withdrawn 24762 and released another standard, which is 27031 in 2011. This is also dealing with your ICT DR. So let's see what is the difference. Let's see what it talks about. Information technology security technique guidelines for information and communication technology readiness for business continuity. So here, can you see it has removed the words which is for ICT disaster recovery, and it's changed that to for readiness for business continuity. So what does it talk about? What does it describe? It describes the concepts and principles of information and communication technology readiness for business continuity, and provides a framework of methods and processes to identify and specify all aspects. So it talks about performance criteria, design, and implementation. So it gives you a framework on how to identify and specify all aspects of the processes for improving an organization's ICT readiness to ensure business continuity. So the slight difference here is it's now moving towards the 22301 standards. It's moving towards business continuity of IT. And what else does it say? It applies to any organization, private, governmental, and non-governmental, irrespective of the size, developing its ICT readiness for business continuity program. So can you see it is now only, the onus is now only on the in-house, the organization. It does not talk about the service providers anymore. I mean, when I say it does not talk about service providers, it means that the service providers cannot use, anybody who's a service provider for ITDR, they might not be able to use this standard. I mean, for them, the 24762 was much better as compared to 2731. Anyway, this also gives the onus, put the onus on the organization, even if you are outsourcing your services. I mean, outsourcing your or taking outsourcing your IT to a service provider. So let's see what else it says. It is applicable to any size, irrespective for and its development of its ICT readiness for business continuity program, requiring its ICT services and infrastructure to be ready to support business operation in the event of emerging events and incidents and related disruptions that could affect continuity, including security of critical business function. So this is one thing which is very good, which has happened in 2731. They have included security in business continuity now. So it also addresses your 27001 in a business continuity situation. So what it means is, if you are moving business from one location to other location, are you also considering whether that place is compliant to the information security standards or policies or procedures which you have been compliant to in a primary location as well. It also enables an organization to measure performance parameters that correlate to its IRBC, the International Region Benchmarking Consortium, which talks about how the facility need to look like, etc., in a consistent and recognized manner. Again, this has come from the ISO. So, like I said, everything else is similar to as compared to 24762. 270331 also is same, except that that could have been used by both the in-house as well as the outsourced providers. Here, it is more focused towards the organization itself, and the organization is made responsible for everything, including the and one good thing is that it is also included the security part in business continuity. So that's about 27,031. Let's see what other standards are there, which is 22301. 22301 is basically a business continuity standard. It is a societal security business continuity management system. What is business continuity? What is the standard all about? It is holistic management process that identifies potential threats to an organization and the impacts to business operation that those threats, if realized, might cause, and which provides a framework for building organizations' resilience with the capability for an effective response that safeguards the interest of its key stakeholders, reputation, brand, and value creation activities. So what is business continuity? Or what is the standard talk about? It talks about the overall business continuity of an organization, and it is not specifically focused towards information technology. It's not specifically towards ITDR. The one we saw earlier, that's 27,031, that is focused towards the ITDR, but this is talking about the entire organization, the complete organization. So it says that it's a holistic management process where you will identify potential threats for an organization, you'll identify the impact, if that threat realizes, and what impact it will have on the entire organization, and how resilient is your organization to safeguard its interest as well as its interest of the key stakeholders, such as well as your reputation, brand, and value creation activities. So you got the point? It's basically in terms of the management process that identifies threats and then identifies what will be the impact if that threat happens, realizes organization, and how can it safeguard its interests of its key stakeholders, reputation, brand, and value creation activities. How can it actually safeguard those activities? So that's what business continuity talked about. So how is this applicable to ITDR? So because it is holistic management process, this also is ITDR also will be a part or will be considered under business continuity, under this BCMS. This is exactly the reason why I have chosen and we have considered BCMS also, which is going to help the ITDR. So it says the holistic management, ITDR or IT as a key activity also will be considered under business continuity. So this is what I meant to say. It involves all elements of the organization, which includes risk management, emergency management, facility management, supply chain management, blah, 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 plus the IT disaster recovery as well. So it's a big umbrella under which ITDR also fits in. Well, so that is about 22301. Let's move to ITSM. ITSM, the ISO 20000, which was released in 2011, is basically your IT service management certifying standard. It is information technology service management system requirements. It provides a set of specialized organizational capability for providing value to the customer in the form of services. So ITSM, when it came, it said IT is not just providing equipment and stuff like that. IT should be considered as a service as such. IT is a service now. So that's a new tangent, new angle this standard actually talks about. Description of the processes required to be delivered and support IT services for the customers. So it describes the processes required to deliver and support IT service for its customers. So can you see it's not just IT, it says it's IT services. It also defines the purpose, primarily being to deliver and support the technology or product needed to the business to meet its key organization objectives or goals. So just like BCMS, this talks about how are you going to protect, what is that you're going to do about the products that are required by the business to meet its key organizational objectives or goals. So can you see it is now linked to the organization's mission and vision. So it talks about to achieve those missions and vision, what is that you require in terms of technology to ensure that you achieve those objectives and goals. So definition of roles and responsibilities of people, including IT staff, customers, and other stakeholders involved. So it also talks about what are the roles and responsibilities of each of the people who are included in IT and customers and other stakeholders that are involved. So when I say the customers, basically would probably mean the service providers, the external bodies. So the management of external suppliers, patents involved in delivery and support of technology and product being delivered and supported by IT. So it also talks about how do you manage your supply chain, how do you manage your suppliers, how do you manage your vendors. Your suppliers are now called as your partners. They're not suppliers anymore, they're partners now. Yeah. So this standard says how are you going to manage those partners who are providing support to your IT. This is the generic description of ITSM. So ITSM is a key component which is which revolves around your people, your technology, your processes, and your partners or suppliers. So this is what the ITSM says that you need to keep in mind. The partners and supplier perspective take into account the importance of partners and external suppliers relationship and how they contribute to your service delivery. The people perspective is concerned about the soft side of IT. That includes the IT staff, customers, and other stakeholders. Example, do staff have the correct skills and knowledge to perform their roles? Are people trained enough? Can they actually do that? So it will talk about how do you ensure your skills are updated, how do you ensure that the people who are actually working on your technology have right or apt skills to work on the particular technology, and if they don't have, then what is that you need to do about it. And the product and technology perspective, it takes into account IT services, hardware and software, budgets, tools, etc., which is your actual IT services. And then the process perspective, it relates the end-to-end delivery of the service based on the process flow. So basically, it has various concepts that work in terms of how do you manage your change, so your change management, how do you manage your release management, how do you manage your incident. So you have incident management, how do you manage your problem. If there are too many incidents, then it'll convert into a problem. So how do you manage your problem management? How do you manage your information security? How do you manage your business continuity? How do you manage your budget? How do you manage your capacity, etc., etc. So there are various concepts that you can actually look into, various processes that you can actually look into, and ensure that you standardize your IT according to those. So this is only specific to information technology. It's only specific to IT, and it's not applicable to anything else. And ITIL, the Information Technology Infrastructure Library, is a globally recognized collection of best practices for information technology service management. So ITSM is basically based on your ITIL, which is your infrastructure library. Moving to ISO 27001 2013, this is basically your ISMS. Like I mentioned, this is basically your information security management system. ISMS is a systematic approach to manage sensitive company information so that it remains secure, and it includes people, processes, and IT system by applying a risk management process. So this is more in terms of information, how you're going to manage your information, how you're going to manage your keep your information confidential, integrated, integrity. How are you going to ensure you maintain the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information in an organization, which also includes your people, process, and IT system. So most of your information is IT. So how are you going to, if the information is with IT, how are you going to manage the CIA of that particular information? If the information is with people, then how are you going to manage the CIA of that information with the people, and what are the processes you're going to keep in mind? So confidentiality, I'm sure everybody understands what is CIA. Confidentiality is nothing but how you're going to keep your information confidential. Um, Integrity would probably talk about how you're going to ensure that that information is not altered and is kept in the original shape. And availability, what is availability? It basically means that you have the information, and if you don't provide that information at the right time, what is the use of having that information? You can keep the information, you don't, if you can't share it at the right time, if I don't have access to the information at the right time, then what is the use of having that of having that information? It's of no use. So it says, how are you going to make sure that that information is made available to you? So the availability part. So this is where your ITDR would come into picture. This is where your business continuity part will come into picture. So confidentiality, integrity, and availability is what your ISMS talks about. It's your ISO 27001 standard. Now coming to the NIST, that's your National Institute of Standards and Technology. This is a US-based organization. This provides instructions, recommendations, and considerations for federal information system contingency planning. So it's basically designed for federal information system and planning, contingency planning of that particular system. Contingency planning, what do they mean by contingency planning? Contingency planning refers to interim measures to recover information system services after a disruption. So how are we going to ensure that you're going to recover services? Your information system after a actual disruption. So what are the interim measures? The interim measures may include a relocation of information systems and operations to an alternate site, a recovery of information system functions using alternate equipment, or performance of information system functions using manual methods. So it says that you can either recover it by moving it to an alternate location, or you can recover it using an alternate equipment, or you can recover using some manual method. So this is very, very, from a layman's perspective, this is what it says. Recover manually, recover using alternate equipment for IT, or recover using a DR site, an alternate location. The guideline addresses specific contingency planning recommendations for 3 platform types and provides strategies and techniques common to all systems. So it talks about the client and server system, it talks about telecommunication system, and it talks about the mainframe system. So these are 3 basic platforms that it addresses, or it guides, its guidelines are based upon. The guidelines define 7 steps in terms of contingency planning for any organization to develop and maintain a viable contingency planning program for information systems. So what is the first step? What should the organization do? It says that it should develop the contingency planning policy statement. So you should have a policy statement first of all. A formal policy provides the authority and guidance necessary to develop effective contingency plan. So it says that you should have a policy statement which will provide the will provide guidance. The second point, it says that you should conduct the business impact analysis, which is the BIA. It helps identify the prioritize information systems and components critical to supporting the organization's mission or business processes. A template for developing the BIA is provided to us as the users. So It says that you should provide you should perform a business impact analysis where you will identify the critical components in terms which are supporting the organization's mission and business processes. So you will come to know what are your processes, and in those processes, what are your critical processes, which are actually very, very important, very, very critical, very, very time sensitive to which are actually supporting your mission and business processes, organization mission or business processes. There is a template which this also provides. I don't have the template here in this, but this also provides a template. The third point, it says that you need to identify preventive controls. So what are the preventive controls? So basically, it also how do you do that? Basically, you can do that using your risk assessment methodology. So you can identify what are the area threats and what are the controls which are in place. Measures taken to reduce the effect of system disruption can increase system availability and reduce contingency lifecycle cost. So it clearly says that if you don't provide that, if you don't perform preventive controls, then it will reduce the effect of system disruption and increase the system availability. If you perform have preventive controls, it will reduce the effect of system disruption and increase system availability, and hence reduce the contingency lifecycle cost. It will reduce the cost which is involved. Then it says you need to create contingency strategy through recovery strategies, ensure that the system may be recovered quickly and effectively following the disruption. So what are the different categories, the strategies it was talking about earlier? It says that you need to create contingency strategies. The strategies could include recovering through a manual method, recovering through alternate equipment, and or recovering in an alternate system. Information system contingency plan. So once you have the strategy, it says that you need to develop a system contingency plan. The contingency plan should contain detailed guidance and procedures for restoring a damaged system unique to the system's security impact levels and recovery requirements. So if you have the strategies tab, you also need to have the contingency plans, which contains the detailed guidance and procedures, how you're going to recover, how you're going to restore the disrupted service or damaged system unique to system's service security impact level and recovery requirements. So basically, you have the strategies. Now you need to have a detailed plan. You need to have a detailed guidance. You need to have a detailed procedure in terms of how that strategy will be invoked, how it will be performed, and how you will return to normalcy. Ensure plan testing, training, and exercises. So it also says that you need to ensure that you have tested your plan, you do proper trainings, and you do some exercises also. What is the difference between testing and exercises? Exercises, nothing but a form of exercising your process that does not have a pass or a fail criteria. But a testing is nothing but you will have a pass or a fail criteria. So technology, let's say for example, if you have 2 links and you say that I want to test these links, if I shut down one link and check if the other link is working fine, you have a pass or a fail criteria. So you're shutting down one link and then you're recovering. If the work is moving to the alternate link without any issue, that is pass. So that's a test. If it doesn't move to the alternate link and if you're not able to perform activity, then it is a fail. So a test will have a definite pass or a fail criteria. But an exercise could be something like evacuation drill. All the employees will move to a safe assembly area in case of an evacuation. So there you do not have a pass or a fail criteria, but you have exercise that piece of your contingency. So it says that testing validates recovery capabilities. Why should you ensure that you do testing, training, and exercises? Testing validates recovery capabilities, whereas training prepares recovery personnel to plan activation and exercising the plan identify gaps. Sorry. So it says that what does testing do? Testing will validate your capabilities. It will check whether your capabilities are there or not, and training will provide proper awareness and training means for the people for activating the plan, and exercising will ensure that you identify any kind of gaps in case of planning. If you combine all this, the activity improve plan effectiveness and overall organization's preparedness. So that's what NIST talk about. And it also says that ensure plan maintenance. The plan should be a living document that is updated regularly to remain current with system enhancements and organizational changes. So you have not only had the plan, but you also need to maintain that plan regularly and keep it current. So you need to keep reviewing the plan, keep making any, keep updating the plan, keep making any changes which the organization has gone through, which has to reflect on the plan. So NIST talks about these 7 steps that you need to have. I thought that these are pretty comprehensive and these are very nice, nicely mentioned steps. So that's the reason I thought it was better that I can include that here. So that's the reason why I'm talking about these. So that's what it talks about. Let's see what should the actual way of managing your program. And ITDR should be managed as a program. It should be managed as a project, rather a program where you have your initiation, where you have your implementation, where you have your testing, etc. So what are the concepts? What are the components which would come into picture as far as the ITDR program management is concerned? First, you need to have the program initiation and management. So you will have an ITDR as a project, project initiation and management. You will, in that project, you will probably do your business impact analysis. What are you going to do in business impact analysis? You're going to identify all the processes. Then you identify what are the critical processes in that under IT. Then you're going to check what would be the strategies. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to look at later. But under BI, you're going to identify the critical processes. How we're going to identify the critical processes? You're going to identify the recovery time frame. So you probably identify the RTOs and RPOs, etc. for your during your technology BIA. Then you're going to do your risk evaluation and control. So like the NIST said that you're going to put preventive controls in place. So this is the phase when you're going to do that. Then you develop the recovery strategies. So you're going to identify what will be the recovery strategies. Then you're going to develop other plans like your emergency response plans, your crisis communication plans, etc. and your ITDR plans. And then you're going to have your awareness and training program. And then you're going to have your maintenance. You're going to do your maintaining and your existing plans. And then we go one step ahead. You're going to review and update. So what is review and update? It's basically to check if there is any improvement, continual improvement, which can happen as far as the ITDR process itself is concerned. So we have addressed your plan, do, check, act concept here, your PDCA concept here. You're going to initiate the project, you're going to do BIA, you're going to do RA, you're going to develop the strategies, you're going to develop various plans, then you're going to do some trainings, and then you're going to maintain those plans, and then you're going to review it and update it to ensure that there is continual improvement. So I think with this, we actually come to a conclusion. I have, like I said, the idea was that what are the various standards that can help in ITDR? So I have just given you a brief of various standards, ISO standards basically, and also one NIST standards. If you have any questions related to that, please let me know. We can discuss these questions. I've kept it very brief. If you have any questions on the subject we discussed just now, please let me know. You can enter your questions in the chat message and then send it across to us. And once I get the question, I can see if I can respond to it. So if you have any questions, please write it to us, write it in your chat box. Right? Any questions you have? I'll give you a couple of minutes, so please think over. Let me know if you have any questions. I mean, if you're not able to get any questions now, you can always write to me. I'm available. My email address is mentioned there. My LinkedIn ID is mentioned there. We can connect. You can ask me questions there. Okay, I think we've got a question now. In the absence of ITDR standard, do you think of anything in ITDR that these standards are missing? Okay. Right. So if I understand your question right, what you're trying to check is that whatever standards we have discussed, is there anything which is missed in as far as the ITDR is concerned? So I hope that is the question you've asked, and I'm going to respond to that part of the question. So, well, like I said, every standard which we have discussed, ISO 24762 or 27031 or 22301 or 27001 or 20000 NIST. So if you look at all this, not everything has everything, as in everything about ITDR. I liked NIST more because it is more comprehensive. It talks about IT, but it talks about information only. It does not talk about IT as such. But yes, it is more comprehensive. It's better compared to the rest. So that's the reason why, like I said earlier itself, that's the reason why I have kept that here. I thought of talking about it. But if you want to look at ITDR as a whole, then I think you should look at probably all the standards in totality. There is possibility that some standards might not have everything about ITDR. There could be something which is missing. There could be something which is missing in some other standards. So look at all these standards together and tie it up to your advantage. So I would say that you should probably look at 2731, though it is not a certifiable standard. You can look at, you probably get some guidelines there. You look at NIST, it gives you a beautiful approach on how you need to approach as far as ITDR is concerned. And then you should look at these two under the umbrella of ISO 22301 and ISO 27001. So if you look at this under the umbrella of 22301, I'm sure you would probably cover almost everything. I mean, there's nothing which probably will miss. So to answer to your question, look at all the standards combinedly, so that even if there are something which are missing, you will not be missing one particular standard, you will not be missing much. Um, because the other standard will cover, and look at it under the umbrella of business continuity. If you look at it under the umbrella of business continuity, I'm sure you will also get the approach on how you need to address the ITDR concept and how do you manage the ITDR concept. So it's pretty simple. Look at ITDR as business continuity of IT. As simple as that. If you look at it that way, then I'm sure you'll not be missing much. So I hope I have answered your question. Any other question anybody else has? Okay, I've got a question here. It says, "Hi Zubair, I refer to CISSP. I'm sorry, I think that's just missed. I refer to CISP handbook for any ITDR related issues or understanding." Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm a novice as far as CISP is concerned. So I'm sorry if there are ITDR related there, which is very good. So just for everybody's understanding, the participant here is referring to CISP handbook. Apparently, there is something which is on ITDR as far as CISP is concerned. So you can probably look at CISP as well when you're looking at ITDR. So thank you very much for that update. But frankly, if you're looking at me for speaking on CISP, especially CISP, I'm sorry, I'm not prepared for that right now. I do not have that information with me right now. So thank you for the information, though. The next question, I think we've got multiple questions here. Let's see. Let's go line by line. The next question what we have is there a better reference you recommend? Well, is there any other better standard which we can refer to? I guess that's the question here. Well, currently, like there's one of the participants had mentioned that there's CISP which talks about ITDR also. I'm not sure whether that's a better reference, but like I said, because I don't know whether the ITDR part of CISP, so I'm sorry I will not be able to comment on that. But as far as I'm concerned, as far as what I have noticed, I think we should probably look at these ISO 27031 standard and 22301 standard in combination, which will probably give us a good reference on how we need to address the ITDR piece. Somehow, something tells me that ISO is very soon going to come out with an ITDR related certification. But that's something which I feel. I don't know whether that's actually happening or not. So let's hope that happens. And if that happens, then absolutely, there's not going to be any confusion at all. All right, so there's the next question. Where can we find details about all these ISO standards? Is it available on? Okay, good question. Where can I find these details? Is it available on the internet? A part of it will be available on the internet, but if you actually want to know these standards, I think you would probably need to buy these standards. These standards are available with ISO. With various organizations, you can probably buy these standards, and you can refer to the standards in detail. The best way to do it is you buy it from ISO and then use them. So I hope I have answered that question. Any other question? Any has? Let's say if we give it a minute or two, and then if you don't get any question, then we can probably conclude the session. So let us know if you have any questions. I guess we're not getting any. If you have any questions, you just write on the chat box, please. Okay. All right. So I guess we're not. I mean, we've responded to all the questions, and we're not getting any more questions anymore. So I think we should conclude this session. I would like to thank you all for joining the session. As I always say, we have this webinar which are free, but your participation is what makes these webinars successful. So thank you for joining these webinars.